for a long, long time in Lake Dallas. I've known him as his involvement in North Texas athletics. He and I have crossed paths many times over various shaped balls. He recently headed up a project post-basketball season called Bleed Green, and he's going to tell you about that and also about the new name, image, and likeness that's a plague on college athletics, but something we're going to have to deal with for a long time. If you please give a warm Kiwanis welcome to my friend David Anderson.
Took a long way around.
Good morning. So Joe told you who I am. Kind of funny, I dated a Philly in 1983. That was like 41 years ago. I graduated from Lake Dallas High School. Started my college career off as a football player and baseball player at Kansas Wesleyan University in Salina, Kansas. I had a massive knee injury my freshman year, and I transferred to North Texas to play baseball. And back then you had to sit out a year to redshirt, lose a year of eligibility when you transfer to another school. That's not the way it is today. The year that I was sitting out, this thing called Title IX happened, and North Texas, to bring equity to athletics, dropped baseball, men's soccer, and added, women's golf, women's volleyball. I don't remember exactly. And so I met my wife in April of 1987 and was having trouble with the rehab on the knee injury anyway. And so I just finished my career as a college student and graduated from North Texas. Was not involved in athletics for a long time, and in around 2000, I played in this thing called the Don January Golf Tournament, which was a tournament benefiting the golf team, and I won a raffle to ride on an airplane with the football team, and we were playing the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. So my wife and I loaded on a 737, and they plopped me next to this boisterous, loud athletic director named Rick Villarreal, which some of you guys may know. And we went with the team, on the team charter, to a football game. And to say that was a life-changing experience for my wife and I was probably an understatement. Rick and Delynn Villarreal have become some of our best friends. We go on vacation together. And so we went to the football game, and we get home, and they were building this, they're trying to raise money to build this thing called the Athletic Center. So the stadium wasn't there. The stadium's relatively new. And so I remember telling my wife, I think we need to get involved in this. So we pledged $25,000 to the Athletic Center, and we laughed because I think we had about $1,500 in the bank. But they let you pay it out. Oh, we pay it out. So we paid $5,000 a year for 5 years. And that was really our first dip into what I would like to call philanthropy. And we don't want to get into the details, but as we progressed in the things that we do, and we both have been very blessed, we're very involved in this community. We do serve Denton. I have a big tailgate party that I cook for, and I'll probably feed 500 to 600 people on Saturday at DAPQ Stadium. I have a hard time not saying Apogee Stadium, and that is segued into other areas of service. I don't talk about this a lot, but I cook turkeys and take them to Our Daily Bread for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And last Christmas we delivered 65 smoked turkeys to the homeless shelter. I really believe that as you get older, and this is a service organization, So I'm proud to talk to you guys. You can donate your time, you can donate your talent, and you can donate your treasure in serving other people. And to me, it's not about recognition, it's about serving and knowing that you might change one life. So, the reason I kind of talked about that is that my family, really my wife and I, we are really philanthropic, okay? We put things out there, and it's not just treasure, it's boots on the ground, okay? So, what a lot of people know or don't know is that the University of North Texas basketball team has won 2 national tournaments in 5 years. We won the CIT tournament before COVID. We won the conference championship the year of the shutdown, and we were absolutely going to the NCAA tournament that year. Some kids got cheated. Some great basketball players didn't get to do that. The next year we came back and we won our conference tournament, and we went and we beat the University of Purdue in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which was a very historic day for us. The following year, we were invited to the National Invitational Tournament, and we won that tournament in Las Vegas. Oh, and by the way, the year between the CIT, we beat Sam Houston State in the first round of NIT. So we're one of 5 universities that's won a postseason after conference championship game in the country right now, this basketball team. And so 2 kids that were on that team that beat Purdue graduated, J.J. Murray and D.J. Draper. And they had this dream to put a team, an alumni team, in this tournament called TBT, or the basketball tournament. And that tournament typically runs end of July until it's over. And the winner, it's winner take all, there's 64 teams, and the winner gets $1 million. Okay? So, DJ and JJ put a resume together, and the way that they select the team is that if you won a game the year before, you automatically get to come back. So that's 32 teams. So then there's 32 teams that the tournament people have to pick to get in. The first year they got picked was 3 years ago. There were 175 resumes submitted, and 32 teams got picked. So they put a resume in, they got picked. I recall reading in the Denton Record Chronicle, which I read religiously. I can't break myself from it, and I don't apologize for it, but I do. And there was an article about that they got a team into this tournament. And I read the whole article, and I remember thinking, man, I like watching those 2 guys play basketball. They seem like just great kids, and the way they conduct themselves. And you know, DJ has an engineering degree. DJ has a degree from the business school, and he is in commercial real estate now. Very successful at a young age. And JJ Murray is an engineer, and he works for Callaway, and he lives in Palo Alto, California, and he literally designed this year's Callaway driver. It's called Smoke something. And so he builds golf clubs. Never played golf in his life, which is ironic. All right, so I get this phone call from DJ Draper because, circle back, he was put on my team in the Don January golf tournament that year, and I gave him my business card and said, if you ever need anything, call me, which is a curse, by the way. So he calls me up and says, hey, can we have lunch? And you know who J.J. Murray is? I said, yes. He says, well, can we have lunch with you? We want to talk to you about something. And so, little thing went off in my brain. these boys need money. And so we scheduled a lunch and we ate at Gloria's in over there in Flower Mound, Highland Village area. And I knew why they were calling me, so I called the usual suspects, which would be the McNatt brothers, a guy named Ernie Keeney, a guy named C. Dan Smith, a few other people. And before I got to lunch, I had $25,000 raised for this alumni basketball team. And so I sit down and, they're kind of making small talk. And finally I put my hand on the table. I said, boys, can we just cut to the chase? How much money do you need? And they looked at each other and they kind of went blank. And I said, have you done a budget? Well, how did you know that's why we wanted to have lunch with you? And I said, well, I guess because I'm just not stupid. And that's why people call me lots of times. And so DJ says, we think we need $22,000 because that year the first game was in Wichita, Kansas. And they laid it all out for me. They wanted to have a training camp. They wanted to give the players per diem. We got to feed them. We got to bring them to Denton and put them in a hotel. We got to practice for 4 days, and we got to move all these guys up to Wichita, Kansas. And I said, well, I don't think $22,000 is enough, and I will have you $30,000 raised by 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I remember seeing a little tear in DJ's eyes, and then I said, now how did you figure out, how did you end up calling me? And DJ says, well, we went to the athletic department and told them we got a team in, and the athletic director, who was Ren Baker at the time, said, that's a great idea. You should go talk to the Alumni Association and see if they'll help you. And so they figured out who the Alumni Association director was at the time. His name was Kevin Fralix. And they went to Kevin Fralix, and Kevin Fralix said, man, that's a great idea. You should go talk to the athletic department and see if they'll help you. And DJ called Hank Dickinson, which everybody probably knows. I think he probably leads the noon group with you guys. I think he's involved in noon Kiwanis. Because I've been to that meeting before. And Hank said, call David Anderson. And that's why we called you. And then I remembered you gave me your business card at the tournament. And so we go to Wichita that year and we win. Vegas actually puts lines on these games, which thank God I didn't know beforehand. But we were 19.5-point underdogs as the 8th seed in the Wichita region, and we upset a team called Everline Drive from Chicago that had made it to the semifinals the year before. And they were the 1 seed in that region. The next game, we get Kansas State's alumni team in Wichita, Kansas. There were 6,000 people in the gym, because I don't know if you guys know this, people in Kansas support basketball. It was loud, it was hostile, I was jacked up. I could have played at the start, but that's the way. It was just really fun. 17-point underdogs, we beat them by 23. So the last game, we draw the 2 seed, which was the Wichita State Shockers in Wichita, Kansas. Or they're called actually Aftershock. You can't do the same. Just like we're bleed green, they were the Aftershocks. And 9-point underdogs, they beat us. It was a buzzer beater, basically. They won on the last shot of the game. And so that Sweet 16 appearance in that tournament, that game was aired on ESPN2. We had national television coverage, and I cannot tell you the response that we got. And Coach McCaslin, who was the basketball coach at the time, called me after we got home and said, you have no idea what you've done for me in recruiting, And just by keeping our program in the national spotlight and the momentum that that's going to give us going into next year. And so I'm like, oh, I got to do this again, because it's a lot. I literally lost 3 weeks being the general manager of this basketball team. If anybody's ever taken their kids to a baseball tournament or been involved, they know the time that's involved. Imagine dealing with 7 or 8 22 to 25, 26-year-olds. I think we had a 35-year-old on the team that year that are professional athletes playing basketball somewhere. Argentina. We had our point guard played in Iran this year, of all places. We had one kid on the team that was playing for a team in Guadalajara, Mexico. And he said, I don't ask no questions. I'm from East St. Louis. But they come in and they set a sack. Give me a sack once a week with 20,000 cash in it. So he basically was telling me he's playing for a cartel team, right? But these guys are doing whatever they can do globally to continue to play basketball, and they play at a very high level. It is a very high level basketball tournament. So it's just like any other thing. You kind of start preparing the day after for the next year if you're going to do something, right? So we made the commitment that we were going to play again. And now we kind of know what we're doing. I've got a handle on what it's going to cost to move people around. I ended up raising $30,000 of not my money, and I probably spent $35,000 plus my team, plus my time to get to that point in Wichita. So I put a pro forma together for the next year, and I figured it's going to cost about $70,000 if we make it all the way to Philadelphia, which will be the final game. And so I just started talking to people, and because of how well we did and the national exposure, I really didn't have trouble getting commitments for the next year. And so we rolled it out again, left a couple of guys at home, added a couple of guys, and long story short, we played in Lubbock, and what the little storyline there is that our basketball coach had just been hired by Texas Tech. So they sent us to the Lubbock Regional, hoping that we would play Texas Tech in the final, and they could build a story on ESPN around Grant's old school and Grant's new school. Texas Tech lost in the first round got upset. They were the 1 seed. So we didn't get to play them. So we played the rest of our games in Lubbock in an empty gym because nobody cared. But the cool thing about that was Coach McCaslin took us all to dinner every night. He let me go play golf at the whatever exclusive country club was out there. We got to use their fantastic practice facilities, training room. They gave us trainers, anything we needed, ice, tape. They treated our players because all of these guys played for Coach McCaslin that were on the team. And so we win that region, and they send us to Louisville, Kentucky. So now we got to get the whole traveling party, which is 16 people. There's 16 people. We have 3 coaches, me, DJ, JJ. There's a kid named Miles Metter, whose parents own Metter Nursery down here on Fort Worth Drive, and he is the biggest nerd I've ever met. But he truly bleeds green. He's in school at the University of North Texas now. He works for the athletic department. So we had this entourage of people that we had to move. And we get to Louisville, and we're playing in this, Louisville is a basketball town, okay? So we're playing in this big arena right next to Churchill Downs. We win that game. This year before last, in the first 5 basketball games, we trailed a total of 7 minutes. That's how dominant we were. We had the 2 best point guards, period, in the tournament. And we had a shooting guard named James Reese that played here and was on the team that beat Purdue, and then he transferred after he graduated and finished his last year at University of South Carolina, which is where he's from. And we just had a really talented, fast team. And the motto is toughest team wins, which is a Grant McCaslin thing. And our guys just, James told me one night, he said, David, you know what? There's dogs and there's dogs. You got to be a dog to play this game, but we're not dogs. We hyenas. We're a different kind of dog. And that kind of stuck with me, you know, that these guys are conditioned to refuse to be beat. And I remember a football coach telling me one time that football is a 3-second game. And if you can whip somebody's ass for 3 seconds individually, if everybody can do that on every play for 3 seconds, you don't have to stand around with them for 3 minutes. The guy's bigger than you. Figure out a way to beat that guy for 3 seconds and you will win every football game you play. And I was listening to James Reese tell me the same thing. Is that, you know, get in there and fight and refuse to lose. So we make it to the final. The team we played in the final had 3 dudes on the team that had played in the NBA. They were big. They were fast. When we got out there, and I looked right before the jump, you know, the tip, and I look at our guys, and it's like there were 5 different types of humans standing there next to our skinny, short. These guys are just huge. They jump out to a 12-point lead. By halftime, we had a 1-point lead. We figured out they didn't want to play defense. They were trying to play an NBA all-star type game where they're just running up and down the floor and they're just going to outscore you. And we slowed them down. You know, in basketball, if you stretch, you can. If you want to compress a game or shorten a game, you don't shoot until there's 5 seconds left on the shot clock every time. That's the way North Texas plays basketball right now to this day. Is they play swarming defense and they stretch the shot clock. And if you look at a North Texas basketball game, Duke may be scoring 85, 90 points a night. They come play us, they're gonna score 60. And we know that we got to score 61 to beat them. And that's how we're coached right now. And so we slowed the game down. We kept them from running. And this is the final, by the way. We're going to win $1 million, right? And I remember reading that our game was on ESPN at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night, and the most valuable sports franchise in the world, which is Real Madrid Soccer Club, was playing on ESPN2. And so the magnitude of the exposure by putting the University of North Texas on national TV three nights in 7 days. Louisville was ESPN2. The semifinal and the final was ESPN. And just the impact. They had a game watching party at Eastside, and supposedly 500 or 600 people were there. And I just kind of thought to myself, wow, you know, we didn't win. We got beat, a buzzer beater. And so now we're like, it was really deflating and, you know, terrible plane ride home. But I think that for me and for the mission statement was exposure for the University of North Texas. If we won, my share was going to get donated, all of it, to something, you know. I rarely do anything anymore to try to benefit myself. I'm past that, which is a blessing. So we we decided to do it again this year. James Reese, the kid that went to South Carolina, who was probably our MVP during the championship, run to the championship. He's playing in Venezuela, and his team made the playoffs. He was league MVP, and he didn't get back for the TBT tournament, and that was a huge loss. It's not like football when you got 60 guys on a roster and you just plug somebody in, 11-man deal. It's basketball, there's 5 guys. You lose your best player. I mean, imagine the Bulls without Michael Jordan. That's kind of what James Reese was to our team. And so we won the first game and in Houston, and then we got beat the second game. So that's the story of Bleed Green. And I want to segue that into the state of college athletics, period. If you follow, how many people really follow college athletics? Like watch, not one. Okay, got one guy that's going to be interested. All right, so we have this new thing called name, image, likeness. And I have to tell you, my Pollyanna view of providing student-athlete scholarships for the last 20 years has been, we're providing young men and women opportunities that they otherwise would not have if it weren't for their athletic ability. Okay? If you look at any college football team, college basketball team, women's basketball team, we all know what those teams look like, okay? And as a general rule, it's young people that are underserved in the community. And so college athletics is a way for them to get an education, all right? So what I kind of learned in hanging out with these guys for 3 years is that for the most part, we failed them, okay? Because they've all graduated, and if you ask them to write a paragraph, just tell me a story and write a paragraph, you would fail an English test, okay? Same James Reese, and he wouldn't be upset with me for telling this. He comes to me after we win the semifinal game and we got 1 day of rest and we're going to play the finals, and he says, David, I don't have a bank account. I don't know how I'm going to get this money. And I said, James, how do you pay taxes? Well, I don't pay taxes. And I thought, well, this is weird. And so we worked out a deal where the way the tournament was going to work is that, and you're supposed to be on TV when this happens, is that you get Zelle that money right to your account. And you're supposed to show the TV Zelle receipt, somebody does. And so James not getting a Zelle because he doesn't have a way to get a Zelle. And so he's going to Zelle me, they're going to Zelle me his share. And then I'm going to write him, he was going to fly to Dallas with me. I'll put him in an account at Wells Fargo, told him you're going to buy a $30,000 6-month CD. And then the rest of the money you do whatever you want to with. Well, why am I buying this CD? And I said, well, because around April you're going to owe $30,000 to somebody. And I don't want you to spend it. So that's what's going to happen. And so we had this financial literacy talk. And he agreed that that's what we do. And I said, you realize I'm not putting a sack with $90,000 in front of you, right, James? I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. Red flags all over the place. And so I explained to him why. And so that brings me to, I feel like we failed 80% of the athletes that go through the university systems, whether it's Gonzaga or Duke or North Texas. We're failing these young people. And it starts probably when they're in the 7th grade, okay? Because of their ability, they get pushed through. The funny, you look, how many kids on the football team right now are carrying a 3.5 GPA in a little program called General Studies? They're not all J.J. Murray playing college basketball and getting an engineering degree and designing drivers at Callaway. They're not. Okay? So that brings me to NIL. Name, image, likeness. So if you're listening to what I'm saying, if we're not educating the kids, and they're not really benefiting from this college experience, except for they get to play their sport, then who's benefiting? Well, let's start with a guy named Nick Saban, who's was making $9-10 million a year to coach college football. And if we want to get really close to home, and I love the guy, but it's public knowledge, our football coach makes over $1 million a year. What do you think the university president makes? Nowhere near that. Okay? And so college athletics has been, in my opinion, an exploitation of inner city America who needs help for the last 30 years. And it's only blown up. We're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars. So when you sit and talk about, we had 5 players last year on our basketball team. Our entire starting lineup either graduated or transferred somewhere. Reuben Jones, $350,000 and a car to go to the University of Michigan. Point guard, Jason Evans, $600,000 to go to Vanderbilt. Aaron Scott, $600,000, unlimited Uber and an apartment to play at St. John's University. Some little school in Tennessee that I never, East Tennessee State, took Bugs and paid him $250. And then another kid, C.J. Nolan, went to the University of New Mexico for $350,000. I'm not sure how I can get mad at that. Okay? I don't like it. I don't like it. It sucks. Duke lost 7 players last year to the transfer portal. 3 days after the basketball season was over and the transfer portal opened, there were 2,457 kids who announced their intention to transfer. And it becomes this bidding war, right? But guess what? It's more money than those young men are ever going to see in their life in 1 year. The year before that, Tyler Perry went to Kansas State. He got paid $450,000 and got to drive a Cadillac Escalade for a year. Okay? So, if you follow college athletics, and actually if you follow the stewardship and the mentorship and the just overall trying to lift young people up, because you 3 people, y'all gonna be something someday. I don't know what it is, all right? But where you're sitting right now is you're sitting with a support group that because you're here, they've pledged to help you in some way. Whether it's teaching you how to be a servant leader, okay? It could be many things. How many people in this room are educators? Anybody? Okay. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to spend $350,000 of private money this season to field a basketball team. Okay? We try to keep things very private in my house on what we do. But I put a group together this summer and we paid 7 kids. Okay? Recruiting now for anything athletics has nothing to do with the football stadium or the weight room or the education you might even get. It's gone to a parent sitting in the living room saying, how much money are you going to give my kid to come here? Okay? I think the honesty of it for me is that it's all out in the open now, what we're doing. We don't care about educating your kid, and for the most part, your kid really doesn't. 80% of kids don't really care about an education. And it's sad because the education sets everybody free. Reading, learning to read in a modern society. I'm not even sure that if I said 2x equals 10, could you rapidly tell me what x is? Okay, good. I'm just saying. Well, hold on. Let me get my phone out and use my calculator, right? Or how do I spell that word? Let me see, right? I don't know if you know this. We didn't have that when I was in school. The iPhone came out on my birthday in 2007. So I guess. In conclusion, if I have a conclusion, I could go on about this for hours because it's big on my mind. We're playing the Stephen F. Austin University on Saturday at the beautiful DAPQ Stadium. I host a tailgate party that I don't turn anybody away if you guys want to come have some barbecue. And I think I've done a pretty good job telling my story. And if I talk for 30 minutes.
About?
Okay.
Any
Yeah, if anybody got any questions.
You should write an article.
How do you travel, David? You're the Bleed Green. How do you get from city to city?
We all drove cars to Houston. We got to Louisville, obviously. We had to get when you get to that level of the tournament, you've got to. They provide you a travel agent, kind of. Yes, ma'am.
When is your season?
Oh, it's just one. It's a 64-team tournament. It starts end of July and it runs about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
2 to 3 weeks. And for us, it starts about 10 days before that because we do a training camp.
And what's the name?
We are Blue Green.
No, that's your team.
Oh, the TBT, the basketball tournament.
Real fancy name.
Yeah.
The $1 million purse, does that obviously comes from entry fees?
Well, they've got a pretty strong contract with Puma and ESPN. Well, actually, we went to Fox. It was Fox Sports this year. So
it's not all funded from
no. Well, there is no entry fee. You just get picked, but I mean it's expensive to move 16 people around for 3 weeks, and I mean it just really is. And so you've got to have somebody willing to do that, and you're not going to attract the best players. What we try to do is take everything out of the equation except basketball for our guys. So all they have to do is worry about playing basketball. So you have to plan meals. It's not just travel, it's where are we eating tonight? Are we going to have food brought to the hotel? Where do you watch game film? You got to get a conference room so you can sit and watch film because we're probably the only team in the tournament that does the scouting the way we do also. The people back in Denton, by 5 a.m. after we win a game, have cut film on our game for us, the basketball staff at North Texas, and have a scout film on every player on the next team we're going to play. That we can then do a normal basketball program like film session.
Wow.
We watch more film than we practice. So,
How many teams are there?
64.
64 teams and 64 games.
No, it's you play 64, 32, 32, 16, 16, 8, 8, 4, 4. Play 6 games.
Oh, wow.
If you win.
Yeah, you got to win. It's win or go home.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you for coming out. I don't have much for you. I do have a Denton Breakfast Kiwanis coffee mug, and on the front side it has our motto: "We build, come join us, and on the back it has our key clubs, our high school organizations that we sponsor that we're proud of. And I hope you'll drink coffee and get rid of that ugly mug there and use. Oh, okay, all right. I didn't read it, I just saw that. Anyway, we appreciate you being with us. David Anderson. Thank you.